Hi friends, and welcome. It's a little bit cold, as you can probably tell. The snow has fallen. The wind definitely has an edge. It's winter time here on our bend in the river, but that doesn't mean we're all done going outside. Quite the contrary. There are a lot of great things to do in the winter time, and this is one of them. You see, our good friend Mike Smith called and he said, "Hey Kyle, one of our big cornfields finally got picked and the geese are starting to pile in there. The late goose season runs for another week or so. Yeah, I called our goose hunting buddy Bill Funk, only Bill said he wanted to go to Chicago. I didn't get it either. I hung up, dialed Brandon Jury's phone number, and Brandon showed up in my driveway the next morning at 4:15 a.m. beeping the horn, hollering, "Hey, it's going to be light in a little more than 3 hours. Let's get going." We piled in the truck, ran over to Ludington. Friends, I'm your host, Kyle Randall. This is my Wilderness Journal, and we're going on a snowy goose hunt right now. In the cold of the pre-dawn, we got our spread all set up, and then all we could do was wait. Until just after daylight, when a lone goose came in silently and took us totally by surprise. We did jump into our blinds and try to call him back. But it was too late. He'd already seen enough.
Yeah, that's a good one for us to get ready on. A lot of these birds aren't migratory. A lot of these are local birds. They'll stay here until all the migratory birds have pushed through.
And unfortunately, migratory bird or local flock, it didn't seem much to matter. We didn't see another goose for quite some time. In fact, despite being more than ready now, all we did see was one bald eagle. And that eagle is all we saw.
Looking for a goose in a field.
Until just after Mike mentioned, "Yeah, I think he's hunting geese too," when
You're going back to your wife.
Take him!
What was that? I could have sworn I only heard one person shooting.
the guys had managed to scratch one down out of that small flock, and after watching it circle us again for just a few seconds, they decided it wasn't coming back. It was time to go out and pick up our first goose. Now, anyone that knows me will tell you I'm not much of a duck or goose hunter. And maybe that's the reason I was laying there thinking, man, I thought they'd get more than that out of that bunch. But I also recall thinking, well, at least it's a start. After that first bird surprised us, the guys were then ready. At least I thought they were. I heard an awful lot of shooting, but I only saw one bird fall. On the other hand, the retriever work was flawless, and the birds were starting to fly, so I was pretty certain it wouldn't be long before they'd get another chance. And not 20 minutes later,
Flag him, flag him. Flag him, kid.
Way to the south. Leaving.
We're supposed to be watching the north side.
I heard them too.
Caleb, you sleeping?
They were whoa.
That was like,
That's not good too.
They didn't even give you
you
a
cannot
look.
see them birds coming with the sky.
Can't. It's hard.
It's hard.
And unfortunately, after that, the only bird we saw for quite some time was this hawk. At least some of us saw it. After that flock set down in the field to the west of us, we had a bit of a lull in the action. And for the record, yes, I explained to Brandon that bird watching, like seeing that hawk circling while you're waiting, that's perfectly acceptable way to pass the time. Texting during a goose hunt, absolutely not. Yeah, he did put his phone away, but by then, everybody was ready for a break. They wanted to get up and stretch and warm up. Well, almost everybody.
They gone.
So that's the way the professionals do that?
That is called getting busted.
That is strategy.
Sitting for 3 hours in the cold, only to stand up to warm up and stretch to finally have the birds come in.
Hey, it worked.
It worked. You want the birds to move, stand up.
All it takes is for everybody to get up out of their blinds to try and warm up, and that makes the birds fly. At least that's what Mike told me. And as we crawled back into our hides, I did find myself thinking, well, if that's really all it takes, why didn't we do that 3 hours ago? Fortunately, it didn't take another 3 hours, and
Over your right shoulder.
Flag 'em. Here they come.
Straight in off your right shoulder.
a pretty good-sized flock made not one but 2 circles around our decoy spread, and just as I thought they were getting close enough, they flared and went off to the west. I figured it was all over, and then I noticed a loner coming in from the other side.
The single. Was that the bird you shot, Brandon?
Well, I shot at him, whether I hit him or whoever did. Hurry up.
Way to hustle, Landon.
I'm from Scottville.
Hurry up.
I heard that gun go off.
It is.
Unfortunately, the rest of the flock lit farther out in the field, but we did get the one bird from Scottville, I guess.
Well, he's from Scottville. Oh, you meant the goose.
The goose. That's a Scottville goose.
And no, I don't know how Mike knew that.
Spread him out and show him to me real
Okay,
quick
Landon.
here.
He's
Sweet.
got a band on his leg.
No, it doesn't.
He checked that first. Nice job, bud.
Well, now I wasn't real sure Brandon was the one that actually downed that goose, but I wasn't real sure that he wasn't. What I was real sure of were the birds were moving better and better. In fact, it wasn't 5 minutes later and
Here they come. Take them.
And with that salvo, things really were beginning to look up. That was 50%. They'd got 2 out of the 4 of those geese. And I remember thinking as the guys went out to pick them up, well, this could actually turn into something if we just keep at it. Well, the shooting wasn't getting much better, but it definitely looked like the guys were getting on track. The birds were coming in small bunches just the way you like it. The guys were pulling them in close and everybody was getting a little bit of shooting. In short, We were having fun. That's what a goose hunt, that's what all hunting and fishing is supposed to be. Sometimes I think we forget it's supposed to be fun. At least as much fun as you can have laying on the lumpy frozen ground in a 15-degree wind trying to convince a bird to come over and set down in the snow. And 20 minutes later, we were having more fun. We had more birds working from two sides.
Two groups.
Kill him if you can.
Even if it wasn't always working out, we were having a good time trying. At least that's what Brandon kept telling me. And I figured with more and more birds coming more and more often, it was just a matter of time the guys would get another chance. I was pretty sure of it. 10 minutes later, the guys were working another line of geese coming in from the northwest. Unfortunately, despite the guys' best efforts, that bigger flock kept right on winging it south. But they didn't quit. Mike was still calling, and it appeared he had the attention of at least a couple birds coming in from the west.
They're turning.
Yeah, they're coming low and fast too.
Right here, set right here.
I see them.
3 o'clock.
Flag him, flag him. What are you gonna do?
And just as it looked like the whole bunch of them were coming, the whole bunch of them were leaving. Something was wrong. They all peeled off and headed south.
Gotta get them a little closer.
Just like archery deer, sometimes close in goose hunting just ain't close enough. Mike was trying to get some of the bigger flocks to work into the decoys, and in doing so, he had to let a few of the singles and pairs pass. That's just part of the deal. I did know that as the birds came more and more, he was going to get to try again, and in fact, we were just getting settled, and we didn't have any time to study on what went wrong. Within minutes, another flock was working in.
We don't like something.
There's a lot of geese back there.
There were a lot of geese in both of those flocks, and something was definitely wrong. Friends, I'm no goose hunter, but this was beginning to look like a pattern, at least to me, and even though Brandon said it was just the cameraman scaring all the birds away, Mike assured me there was something wrong, something in the way we were set up or the way the wind had changed blowing. Something was messing with us, and he got up, he was going to figure it out before another flock showed. Mike got up and backed away from the spread about 50 yards, and then he stood there just looking at it. And after a few minutes, he said, you know, we need to move. We need to pick everything up and rotate it about 20 degrees. The wind has changed. We need to move, and we need to do it right now. The wind had changed enough that Mike said we needed to move. We needed to grab our stuff. Everybody got up, started moving their blinds, and of course...
They are.
That'd be your bugger 70-80.
I'd say make her move and get her done.
Geez, they're coming back.
They're coming back. That's good.
See you, Landon.
Smooth.
Oh yeah, I gotta come back.
Smooth as butter.
Did you see that? I guess everybody getting up out of their blind really does bring in the birds. And I have to admit, as we were resetting our blinds, moving our setup, I was thinking, why aren't we just doing more of that? Not 20 minutes after getting reset, we had more birds in the air and working.
I'm right here. This ain't good.
Shoot him.
That one I put right on you, Kyle. Sorry about that.
There you go.
Yeah. You got one shell left, right?
Yep, last one right now. I need to shoot 2 birds on this one.
Oh, look at that huge line of birds right there.
I wasn't sure if Brandon could drop 2 birds with one shot,
Here they come.
but I was sure it wasn't going to be long before he got a chance.
Yeah, they're coming.
Nope, they turned again.
Solo coming straight in.
Take 'em. Yeah, let's pick those geese up quick. Go, Riley.
Get him.
At least one over here, a couple of them out there. Out, straight out.
I wasn't real certain exactly why Mike's adjustment was working, but it was working. Friends, I can't tell you exactly why, but what I can tell you is that little adjustment seemed to be making a big difference. We were finally getting the geese to come in, and we certainly weren't done, not even close. It was almost 2 in the afternoon, and we still had birds in the air, and they were still working in.
Flag 'em.
Right in front of you. Somebody.
Wow, finally, my 3rd shot.
I only shot 3 times.
It's all right. I think Brandon shot enough for all of
But I
you.
got it on the 3rd shot.
I know.
He was giving you a chance over there.
All I can say is I never touched my gun.
All I can say is I said I was going to shoot 3 times, and I did.
That's funny.
No, I did not say our shooting was getting better. I said we were doing a better job of pulling in even more birds.
A little flutter with the flag. Well-trained retriever.
They very well retrieved.
You boys are earning your biscuit.
My friends, I should tell you, I never fired a shot on this entire trip, but I'm certainly glad I went along. It was a pleasure just to see that kind of retriever work. It was now well past 2 p.m., but there were still a few birds flying. It was almost 3 in the afternoon, but the guys actually had one more chance working its way in. Or maybe not.
Wait, there's 2 out there though.
I think Brandon's right. I think that's just about the end of our birds.
Okay, first of all, the words "Brandon is right" should not appear in the same sentence.
You know, I think you're right.
I do thank you all, and on behalf of the shooting challenge, you're doing a good thing here today. And
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Hey,
You want to walk with me?
Blast.
seriously, thank you.
appreciate it.
Truly enjoyed it.
Yeah, we had a good time.
All right, gentlemen, congratulations.
It was a
It was an awesome day. Thank each and every one of you.
You're welcome.
And hopefully, y'all have a Merry Christmas, and next year we'll get together and do it again, all right?
You betcha.
That was awesome.
All right. You guys, we're going to take a picture. Hold on. Everybody smile except Brandon.
My friends, that is without a doubt the most fun I can remember ever having on a goose hunt. Everybody had a great time. We all pitched in. Everybody got a few chances, and I think I can speak for everyone when I say we all truly enjoyed the day. Hey, I want to thank again Mike Smith, all the guys from over at Ludington for making that happen. Certainly Brandon for going along. Folks, if the next goose hunt is as much fun as that last one, well, you just might see me doing this a little more often, although I'll have to admit, I'm not real sure what type of broadhead I'd have to put on my carbon arrows in order to go out and do that, but I am sure I can find out. I'm also sure that I hope I see some of you out there doing it. I hope you and yours are enjoying the winter. Get outside. There's lots of great things to do, not just ice fishing either. There's bunny hunting. There's certainly the late partridge season. Everything and anything you can think of to get out of doors is good enough. And you know, I hope I see some of you out there. If we do, I'm going to share that cup in a fire, maybe some wintertime suggestions for some great opportunities. And either way, if I do see you out there, we're going to be having fun. And if I don't see you there, I'll wait for you here so we can share another adventure from my Wilderness Journal.